Hey everybody, Mike Naso here with a special video update on Tropical Storm Ernesto. Good Saturday to you. Ernesto strengthening. You can see the pattern here, upper level low, retrograding west. The shear is starting to stop over Ernesto, and I think as it got sheared, it intensified a little, but it really maintained itself. But as it was sheared, it kept trying to blow up and blow up, fighting off the shear, and what that's done is pretty much make this a larger tropical cyclone that we're going to have to deal with somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's take a look at the latest as of 2 p.m. New advisory at 5. 15.5 north. In fact, the latest was 15.8, 71 point, was it 6 or 4? It was back a little bit further eastward and a little bit further northward, meaning that the center is trying to relocate under the deep convection. 997 millibars west-northwest at 14. That means it's slowing, and that has repercussions down the road to what may happen with a short wave and the ridge of high pressure. You can see the hurricane center track is up here across Jamaica, and then up towards Wednesday is heading towards the Gulf. I think this is a very good track, and I have it going south to Jamaica, though. I don't think it'll directly hit. I think it'll kind of dance around and then head on up generally towards the central Gulf Coast, which does not need it. And if you live there, keep a close eye on Ernesto, because in just a couple of days we could have a very powerful hurricane. Category 3 if you ask the Hurricane Center. I think it could become a Category 4, and then even a little stronger after that. You can see the latest computer model guidance. Most of a good agreement up here till Cuba, and then some start to diverge, taking it to the east, others continuing at northwest, others towards Louisiana. The center of that path is where the Hurricane Center is, and that's where I am, right up towards the central Gulf. It's possible that these models will shift over time, more to the west, more to the east. As they noted in the 11 a.m. discussion at the Hurricane Center, there has not been good run-to-run consistency. The new center was at 15.8, so that's probably right about here, and 71 point something it was more. So it's starting to tuck back under the deep convection here. And if you look at the latest convection, you can see it's getting pretty deep right around where the center is, and with those reds. And then the water vapor, there goes the upper low, now clearly pinched off, moving west faster. And this environment has become very moist. Remember yesterday there was a big batch of dry air. What happened? That got sucked up into the upper level low, and we're no longer dealing with it. So that's not good news. Here's the shear. Now this was 12 hours ago. Okay, there's the upper low. Notice the 50, 40 knots of wind shear, 20 knots over the system. Notice what's happened in the last 12 hours. The shear has just steadily decreased, and that is very bad news. Look at the upper low has gone from over here to over here in 12 hours, 24 hours it'll be over here, and this thing should be up here strengthening. Notice now we have maybe at the most 20 to 30 knots over the top of it, with 10 to 5 knots over the center of the storm. So that's not good news. Okay, now here's the pattern setup. There's going to be a strong ridge of high pressure, which there is now, maintaining Ernesto on a west-northwest track. So that's pretty clear south of Cuba. Once we get past 72 hours, some of the models take that shortwave trough coming through, create a weakness that pulls Ernesto up like this. Now, how fast is it moving? Well, it's slowing down, which means that it has more time to where if it gets in the Gulf and that weakness is starting to close up, it might continue more towards the upper Gulf Coast. However, if it moves faster and the weakness is more pronounced, then we could potentially see a track more towards the panhandle of Florida. Right now it's up in the air. If I had to guess, I think it's going to, the upper low, see the upper low makes the image look pretty suspicious when you're trying to draw a future and you're running an upper low. This is no longer there. Okay, so this is gone. Okay, so just pretend this upper low isn't here. Ernesto continues to track like this up here. Weakness begins. Very possible that it could come in a very similar spot to Hurricane Katrina. I'm going to go out and say that now. If you live in the areas of southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Panhandle that were affected by Katrina, right now this is looking like it could be final destination for what will be Hurricane Ernesto. So I would not doubt it. And again, I made my forecast thoughts, and I was talking to Zach. I said, Zach, it's hard when, my track was pointed right here, and I shifted it a little east due to the models, but really I shifted it more east, I think, because I didn't want people to say, oh, look, Naso's taking it towards New Orleans. That's not the deal here. The deal is that if it continues that track up towards where, in the Gulf here, by Wednesday night it's here, and then the weakness starts to open, it's going to generally turn north, then over towards the north-northwest. I do not think this thing could make a jagged east turn. I mean, we're talking about a shortwave here. We're not talking about a Charlie type of trough by any means. By the way, it looks kind of like Hurricane Charlie did when it was in the Caribbean. Except Charlie had an unseasonably strong trough that pushed into Florida. Typically, Charlie would have gone more towards the Gulf Coast like Ernesto should do. Well, that's it. We'll see what Ernesto does. I'm Mike Naso. I'll talk to you later. Special coverage will begin before you know it on IPR. Stay tuned to Internet Partnership Radio, and I'll see you next time.